Hello, I am MD Rabiul Islam Simon and I am doing my MSc in Data Science in LSPU, and this is my second coursework of data management. And in the first stage, we are going to design a schema using dimensional modeling technique. And the first stage, as the data of the home office is all about payments, the fact table will be payment. The fact that is required to be measured is the total amount involved per transaction. And step 2, next part is the choosing the dimension tables for the selected fact table payment. Here at the dimension we have chosen the entity, date, expense type, expense area, supplier, and transaction. Next is database design, and here for the above I am seeing the diagram is for the entity table creation. Here I can say that the two attributes in the present. Here is entity ID and entity name. Here entity ID is the primary key, and for the second, the table expense type. Here the in the two attributes is also there. There is expense type ID and expense type ID and here expense type and expense type name are the two attributes, and expense type is the primary key. And for the table creation for the expense area, here expense area ID is the primary key, and for the supplier ID and the supplier name, here supplier ID is the primary key. For the critical analysis, there are many issues in the process of evaluation. Among them, the most important problem is that there are many records of spending in the data with the same entity, same date, same expense type, same expense area, same seller, even with the same transaction number. Just the spendings are the different. The spending should be calculated in total, which will help in the data evaluation process. Another is there are many refunds in the spending. The refunds should be in the different columns, which will help the evaluation process. If these problems are solved, then the data will be clean and easy to understand, and the creation of ETL package will be easier. Some expenses type, sub expenses area, and the supplier names have a comma in their names, which makes the data connection process more. Our next process is SQL queries. Here we'll find out the expenses and the sum of our sum of them and the sum of everything, and for the for the every quarter months, like these expenses types in the quarter July to September. Here we can see that the grant is the highest one, and there are IT telecommunication and RAN cost, and the FM service is also there. In the for the SQL inquiries, we have put the for the month April to June. For April we have put 4, and May we have put 5, and for the June we have put the month is 6. And we are seeing the dashboard details of sum of expending and the expenses type of April to June. For the dashboard, we have used our Power BI. Here we can say that our grant is the highest one, which is almost 2 billion. Here I can say that I can see that the IT telecommunication is the middle part of the. Here as the sum of expend and expense type from July to September. Here grant is the first one, and we can see the IT and telecommunication run on the cost is also there, and dashboard of is made. This is the sum of spend versus expense type time from October to December. Here expense type directly connects with the grant, IT telecom and run cost, and IT telecoms with IT run from October to December. Equal sequence between two of these are for making these two factors very parallel. Sum of spend versus expense type from January to March. Sum of spending versus the expenses type from the period of January to March. Here I can say the grant is the highest one, and the expenses types are grant, IT telecom that runs with cost, FM services, and many more. Sum of spend versus expense area for years 17 to 18 years. We can say that in the CPFG is the highest one, which is larger, greater than the 10 billion, and the UKVI both variables are between 1. Sum of spend versus expense area from April to September. The spend versus expense area from month of April to September is uh, is there, and CPFG is the highest one. We can see that digital data and technology and immigration enforcement is there. Sum of spend versus expense area from October to March. Here CPFG is the highest one, and it has almost 4 billion. Here are some of spend versus supplier name from April to June. Here I can see in that the London Authority is the highest supplier, which is almost 0.45 billion. And the sum of spend versus supplier name from July to September. Here Greater London Authority is the highest one. The second position is the Mayor Office for Police and Crime. In the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner, it's seen that it's almost 0.2 billion. And some of the spend versus supply name from October to December is the Greater London Authority is the highest one, which is spent amount nearly 0. Some of spend versus supply name from January to March. Here we can see the Greater London Authority is the highest one. We can say the Crime Commissioner for Greater Manchester, Crime, then the Immigration Enforcement, and many more. Thank you so much.